Good morning.
Good
Happy
morning.
Thanksgiving. Good morning, Alex.
Hey, Alex.
Happy Thanksgiving to you guys.
Oh my gosh, it's kind of hard to believe it's Thanksgiving, although I am wearing my apron to prove that I am cooking, even though there's only two of us to cook for.
Yeah.
This is my standard Thanksgiving look. I'll just continue it even through COVID.
It works.
That's awesome. Isn't that the world we're in now?
Well, it's true. I felt good that I had on real clothes.
Yeah.
I mean, quite frankly, I read a really funny Facebook post yesterday that said, well, I attended my first dress in sweatpants with a cocktail dress over it, or my first wedding, sweatpants and a cocktail dress because they could only see me from the
That's awesome.
All right, that's the world we're in. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, welcome to everybody. If you are taking a break from stuffing turkeys and doing all the other things that people are doing today, we're so thrilled to be joined by our longtime friend, Alex Rydell, who, gosh, we've known you for in a lot of ways, Alex, but I think first we met you because you and Maz were on the Youth Symphony board together, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, when
back
Quinn
in the
was
day.
in the Youth Symphony and Maz was on it as a parent board member, and Alex is an alum of the Youth Symphony and the Fargo-Moorhead Symphony Orchestra.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that's how I first knew who you were, is from the symphony. But it's just so delightful to have you with us, and thank you for taking Thanksgiving of all days. It's the good thing, I guess, about COVID is people are kind of home.
Don't have anything else to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Alex, first of all, tell people what you do in case people don't know, because you have two really interesting jobs.
Sure. Yeah. So I, my kind of day and sometimes night job is I'm a funeral director. And so that is kind of my life's work, I've found, and something I was called into doing, and I absolutely love it. So helping families through that. And then, and then I play violin on the side and do all kinds of different gigs doing that, playing an Irish band. And so yeah, it's wonderful. And on top of that, I get to be a dad and do all those fun things too. So yeah, kind of interesting, an interesting mix of different things.
Well, but all things that I think are soul driven.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
You really have helped me have a new appreciation for the work that you do, because it's when you're a family member going through it, it's hard to stop and look at the person sitting across the table from you as anything other than just sort of a transactional relationship. But I feel like, having listened to you talk at Creative Mornings and just getting to know you, the true humanity of your work around death is really profound, and probably never more so than during COVID.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for saying that. It's such an interesting profession. We get invited into people's lives during the absolute worst time in their life. They've lost someone they loved, and that's such a privilege at a base level to even be invited into that. And so I just, like I said, I was called into it. I was not out looking for that profession. I wasn't born into it. It definitely found me. So
well, it seems to be working out pretty well, so that's good.
Yeah, well, thank you.
So Alex, we have another connection, and when I say we, I'm just the facilitator in this instance. You two have another connection. Maybe you two could talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, you go first then, Alex.
Well, yeah. So, Maz and I have both, I guess, been, joined or have the common, thing in our sobriety in our lives, and alcohol was a problem, and we found a solution, and through sobriety and through, I think for me, it's just surrounding myself with like-minded people. I was grateful that Maz, came into my life through that, and thankfully was already there. We had already known each other.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love being able to, have a connection with a person already, and and get to see them come through this. And so yeah, it's been a gift, and I will cherish that. And I remember so many different times talking to you about things, and yeah, it's pretty awesome. If you want to,
it is, and it's helped me a lot, and it's really nice to see the first time you go to anything like that. It's nice to see a friendly face.
yeah, absolutely.
Really
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you're one of my sponsors, so it's actually also nice to know that, you know, I could actually just talk to you about anything anytime I wanted. And I hope, thankfully, I've been blessed with the fact that you've never received a 2 a.m. phone call for me teetering on an edge.
Yeah.
But I knew you'd be there if you ever got that phone call. So that's a lovely feeling to have too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. No, I think it's, you know, it's a scary time when a person ventures into or you know, thinks all right, I can't do this anymore. And so they enter into this community of sobriety, whatever that might look like, looking for help. You know, it's seeking for help, and it's scary for anyone, you know, because you're literally taking your life that looks like this and you're going to flip it upside down. And so to walk in and possibly see a familiar face, you know, sometimes people are like, oh God, I hope they don't see me, you know. But I think more often than not, it's a feeling of comfort, you know. It's, oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
There's other people that are like me, and you're one of them. What?
Yeah, isn't that interesting? I certainly did not know that you were a recovering alcoholic in the years that I knew you before this. Did you?
I didn't.
No. So Alex, how long have you been sober? Can I ask?
I have been sober for 11 years.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you. Thank you.
That is fantastic.
You're our longest sober guest Thursday person to date.
Oh, wow.
So
well,
congratulations.
It's a bunch of 1 days at a time. So
yeah.
Yeah. But I think the point that you just made is so common, is this idea of we just don't talk about it. And sometimes we don't talk about things because it doesn't fit into the context. Mm-hmm. You know, like I think about the youth symphony board and family gathering that we went to, you know.
Yep.
So that would have been a weird place for you to be like, hey, I'm Alex, by the way, recovering alcoholic. I mean, it would have felt very out of context.
Right.
But it's really interesting how it often just does not come up in conversation the way someone saying, well, I'm a breast cancer survivor, or I'm a, you know, I have a master's degree too, or all these kinds of life events that seem to come up in conversation. Do you think, from your vantage point now, because you have been so public about being sober, do you think that it is getting better and easier to talk about it publicly? Or do you think there is still let's go with stigma, that might be too strong a word, but the stigma around it, and the sort of, boy, this is a small community and you have a high profile job, and now if someone walks in to Hanson Runsvold and says, sitting down with you, are they thinking, I know him from, you know, whatever.
Right.
Do you think that is getting better?
I like to think optimistically about it, and I do think that it's getting better. Now, is that skewed because I live in the world where, you know, I'm okay with it, and I feel like I've kind of, like, the stigma for me has maybe been lifted. That might be skewed a little bit, you know, but that being said, you know, I think that's why it's important for, you know, like Catherine, you know, Helgeson Bergam, and her whole mission of bringing, you know, ending the stigma and talking about recovery openly. Even with that, and I think those are all effective means of doing that, of breaking that stigma and making sure that it's openly talked about. It's always going to be a difficult thing to talk about. You're always going to, because when I was in it, when I was in the thick of my addiction and my alcoholism, I had this closed world that I lived in, and I couldn't see anything other than that, the way I was living, like I needed this to feel this way. And if I didn't have, I didn't know how I could, by the end, like when I finally got to my, my lowest point, if you will, I didn't know how to live with it, and I didn't know how to live without it. I couldn't figure it out. And so I think, when you talk about this stigma, I think it's important that people know, hey, there's resources out there, and maybe just seeing that there's normal people that are in this. It's not it's a disease, and it's just like, cancer or any other, health problem that you would have, and it's something where, we need to find a recovery. We need to find a solution to it. And but when you're in the thick of it, it's so hard to see past that. And so just having things out there and being accessible, I think, is important. But I think there's always going to be something, unfortunately, because what active alcoholism can look like is pretty troubling. It hurts a lot of people who aren't alcoholic, whether it's family members or friends. I mean, relationships get torn apart from it. Yeah. And so that's the hard thing, is you're coming out of, there's a lot of damage that gets left behind from it.
Yeah. Yeah, but I feel like just there's these conversations are so well, first of all, I think of them as joyful. These guest Thursdays are my favorite thing we do because there's there's an after, so you sort of have to address the low point or the breaking point, because that's where you turned the corner. But the after is so different and joyful for each of the people we've talked to. And you're all so different, and yet you have these very common experiences. And I just think the more we can say, you can have a PhD, you can be part of a funeral industry, you can run a restaurant, you can change careers. It helps, I hope, to dispel the idea that there's one kind of alcoholic. And if you are one, then you must be that person. Because clearly not. Professionals and wealthy people and young people and old people and white people and people of color.
You think of any profession. I know someone who I know now who
I bet you
is
do.
in it. Lawyers, medical doctors, nurses, accountants, administrators, educators.
Well, and sometimes I wonder if it's not more acute. I mean, Alex, your career feels, and maybe this is just from my perspective, your career feels stressful. I would think so, because in addition to the emotional sadness, because we're so bad about sort of confronting death in this culture, a lot of people just aren't even financially ready for it, or they've not wrapped up the things that they really need to wrap up. And so you're that frontline person who somebody sitting across the table from, maybe trying to navigate all of that. So I think it's just, it's really powerful to see someone who's in a position like that acknowledge that I don't want to put words in your mouth, that is the stress of that is perhaps a piece of this, but that you have managed to find a way to navigate them together now.
Right. Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, like Maz said, there's people from every walk of life. I mean, it doesn't know any bounds when it comes to that. And, we just, that's good for people to see, that's good for people to see that, it's okay. And it doesn't mean I'm this, skid row, and that's another thing, we talk about is how, some of us will look at our lives. I looked at my life, and here I was working, I was doing a great job, and I was successful. And I was a full-blown alcoholic. I wasn't drunk at work, but every other time I was. And so I had to look at that and think, well, why am I really, I had those questions, am I really an alcoholic? Is this really a problem? Like, well, yeah, it is. It's a huge problem. But it's hard. It can be hard to see that when we use these artificial measures that society's put in place of like, well, I'm doing well, according to these boxes that I've checked.
Yep.
Except for I'm miserable.
Yeah, I keep saying that is what tripped me up so significantly as the spouse is I thought no DUI, no car crashes. He's going to work every day.
Yeah.
He's keeping his job. I must be just too sensitive to this. He must be okay. And I need to stop thinking that this is a problem because I had a Hollywood definition of what it means to be an alcoholic.
Yep.
When in actuality, an alcoholic is just someone who can't manage their drinking. I mean, I don't want to simplify it.
No,
but
no. That's a part of it. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's also what helped me weirdly is when you realize not just in different professions, but how many people in the spotlight actually admit they are a recovering alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
And Oscar winners and film producers and directors and God, and
musicians and athletes and
TV stars and people who've played professional soccer are recovering alcoholics. So it really is something that affects everybody equally. There's no sort of you're in this profession, you're bound to become succumb to alcoholism, but it isn't. It's just, it affects everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Alex, you have this night job of playing your violin.
I have yet to actually witness you, and I have to come out and see you do your night job.
Gosh,
you got to come out.
Incredible.
I haven't done it yet.
Yeah, you haven't actually ever seen them. They're amazing.
I'm sure they are.
And they're of your kind.
I know.
Yeah, so there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
so you play in Pachin.
Yes. And
you often play in bars.
Almost all the time.
So how do you navigate that?
That was an adjustment in the beginning because I've played with them since before I got sober. I've played in the band for 13 years and I've been sober for 11. So it was definitely an adjustment, and they, the band has been incredibly supportive through the whole thing. But for me, initially what it was all right, I got to just be upfront with the whole band and say, listen, this is now a part of my life, and I will not be drinking. And so it was kind of, for me, it was letting them know, hey, this is where I'm at. So I didn't have an out, basically. So I couldn't go to a gig knowing, well, they don't know. So if I go have a beer while I'm on stage, they're not going to know any different. Yeah. So it was kind of one of those things for me initially. Now, going into a bar now, on a, normally when it's not COVID, we'd play every 2-3 weeks at the bar. It's interesting because, and it kind of ebbs and flows. Sometimes I'm up on stage and, naturally, what am I doing? We're playing Irish music, and it's at an Irish pub. Yeah. So people are happy, they're having fun, and they're drinking, and so I can't help but look out at that and think at times, wow, that looks fun, and it is a conscious thing. That's why, this one day at a time, I say, well, yeah, 11 years, but it's always one day at a time, because I have to just be in the moment and realize, well, in that moment, I'm just, I got to stay sober for today. And I have to just remember always that that's not what drinking looks like for me. What I'm seeing out there when I look out and I see the people dancing and having fun, that's not what drinking looked like for me. I had this, compulsion where once I had one drink, there was no end. I could never reach the point of like, okay, that's the good spot, you know, and just stay there. That didn't exist for me. So it's keeping that in mind, and just knowing that I have to be comfortable with it, you know, and not only that, but having an out and realizing, you know what, if I got to step out of here at a break or something like that, that's fine. I just need to do that because doing that is much more important than having the discomfort of you know, trying to navigate a super uncomfortable situation where I'm getting itchy and you know, feeling like I want a drink or something like that, you know.
Yeah. Oh, that's an interesting take. We have not really talked to anyone who has articulated that it's still an occasional real struggle.
Oh yeah.
Maz is so fortunate in that it's really not.
Yeah.
Yep.
What was interesting for me, talking about an Irish setting, so in a couple of years ago, we went to Ireland. It was Dana's actual first trip to Ireland. And I thought, well, I've been sober now for over a year. How do I take Dana to show Dana real Ireland if, you know, can't go into a bar? But so Dana just said to me, well, just take it and see what happens. And I went into my first Irish bar and I said, have you got anything non-alcoholic to drink? And they had about 30 different types of non-alcoholic beer.
Aren't
Really?
you shocked?
Yeah.
I am shocked.
Ireland is so progressive. The
They've got
first to vote
non-alcoholic
in gay
Guinness.
marriage, the first to, or, you know, voted down anti-abortion,
Right.
and are leading the way with non-alcoholic
People are
beer.
drinking them. They said, we can't
Really?
keep this stuff in stock. So I just thought, that's delightful. So we were on the west coast of Ireland. We found this hotel bar that was a Hobbit. You can't make this up. This is really.
It was a Hobbit house
It was a
bar.
Hobbit house bar. And we went in there. Quinn joined us. We were there for about a week. Quinn and his then girlfriend joined us. So we went there for Irish music night in the Shire. And I'm sitting there sober watching all of this. And I thought, at the first time I ever thought to myself, you know what? I would not enjoy this much if I was drinking. It was fantastic to
That's
see
awesome.
this weirdness completely sober.
Absolutely. Oh, that is so cool. Wow.
Alex, do you find that you are, did music change for you when you became a sober fiddler versus a drinking fiddler, or did it really not matter?
Yeah, no, it changed. I mean, I think it was mostly my perception of it
Sure.
changed, but you know, I feel like many things in life, I mean, kind of the colors changed that I saw, and you know, there's some, you know, improvisation. I was like a Suzuki trained, you know, fiddle player.
You're a classically trained violinist.
Right. Yeah. And so with that, you know, improvisation and things like that. So that kind of changed because I often felt like, to be completely honest, you know, I often felt like chemicals that would change my mind, like alcohol, helped me in that way, you know. It would loosen me up, and that's a common thing, like with musicians and artists.
Yeah.
That, you know, it brings your mind to a point, you kind of loosen, your inhibitions go away, and so that changed a little bit. I definitely had to adjust, you know, as far as that goes. But I feel like my clarity and my attention to some of the detail, it sharpened, you know, because I just had, I don't know, my mind works better, obviously, without a chemical. And so I think that actually enhanced it, and I've gotten to be better. And I kind of play by memory and stuff. So obviously, you know, my memory is better. And so I think it helped a lot, but it does change things. You know, I look at things differently. I mean, just the way music feels is different, and not in a bad way, in a good way.
So to the audience, this morning at 8:10, I wrote to Alex, which is unbelievably unfair. So let me just publicly apologize for the audacity of what I'm about to tell everyone I did. At 8:10, I wrote to Alex and I said, Alex, maybe you won't see this before we get on. And if you do see it and want to say no, please feel free to say no. But would you be willing to play your violin? And Alex wrote back and said, on it. So Alex, thank you. Thank you. Would you play us something?
I would be happy to. I would be happy to. Hopefully, I'm going to just kind of set my mic. I'll twist this around, and I'm just going to play it's not a long tune, but it's, you know, I was just thinking like, okay, Thanksgiving, I think it's a good time to kind of reflect and just be thankful for things. And so it's a tune called Neil Gow's Lament. So I'm just going to play one time through that. It's just kind of a cool, beautiful tune. So
perfect. Thanks,
right.
Alex.
Okay.
Thank you. Oh, fantastic.
I'll wait for Alex to get his headphones in. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was brilliant.
It's another one of those reminders that one thing COVID has taken from all of us is live music.
Yeah.
So it's not the same over Zoom, but that was really
beautiful.
lovely. And my promise to you, Alex, is when COVID abates, however it abates, we will be in the front row.
Yes.
To see Puccini play and be cheering you on.
Actually,
awesome.
You know what? Now that you mention, I haven't actually been to a real bar since I've been sober. I've been to restaurants with you.
Oh, in Fargo, yeah.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So I don't know why. I think I don't know why. I don't know if I'm a little worried. I mean, I trust myself not to drink anything. I just think.
Well, also, that's not really anything we ever did.
Sure.
So I'm looking forward to coming to see you play when we can.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it too.
Yeah. So, Alex, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, guys.
Music and your story.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's good to see you guys too.
Have a great
Thanksgiving to you.
Stay safe and continue to do the good and excellent work that you're doing, Alex. We need it and we all appreciate it.
Thank you so much. You guys keep doing this too, okay?
Take care.
You take care of yourself.
Bye, everybody.
See you later.
Have a safe day. See you soon. Bye.